Canada.
How long have you been arm wrestling?
Over 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And what tattoos on your arm?
Well, I've got the Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation and Canadian champion.
That's sweet.
I left some room there for when I win the Worlds. It's going to go right there. I've been second at the Worlds twice, so I'm coming. Feeling good this year.
So South Africa, you'll be there.
Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I love my ARMTV.
Do you,
I love my ARMTV too.
I love my ARMTV. Yeah. Mike Gould, you got to mention your name.
Mike
Mike what?
Gould.
how long have you been arm wrestling?
15 years.
How'd you get started in arm wrestling?
I just heard about a tournament at home years ago, and I thought it'd be cool. I checked it out. Loved it.
And I mean, how'd you do your very first tournament?
Not as good as what I thought I would, but I met a lot of guys that were involved in the sport, and they took me under their wing and taught me.
Were you always this big?
No. I was actually, for quite a few years, I competed under 200.
What class do you compete at right now?
The open class.
I mean, what weight?
240 and over.
Heavies?
Yeah.
And what province are you from?
Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah.
How often do you say you train for the sport?
Well, with my work and stuff, I don't get the opportunity to train as much as I'd like to, but I train. I get a couple days a weekend.
And how many tournaments do you go to a year?
You know, again, last couple of years I haven't hit very many. I've had a couple surgeries on my arms. I've torn both biceps, but usually, you know, now I'll select 3 or 4.
And, how come you weren't at Ottawa?
I had left bicep surgery. Yeah.
If you were there, how would you have done?
I'd have won.
You would have won?
I always win the nationals.
That was the world's
Okay.
So you're going to be in South Africa?
Probably not, no.
No. Why not?
I don't have the funding.
It's a long trip.
See, that's a huge trip.
How much does it cost to get over there?
I have no idea.
South Africa. They couldn't have picked a further spot.
No.
Maybe Siberia.
That's it.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
What's your name?
Anthony Dall'Antonia.
And how long have you been on wrestling?
2 years now.
2 years, that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
How many tournaments do you go to?
I've been to about 15 in the last 2 years.
Where are you from?
BC, Vancouver.
Vancouver? How far is the trip to come out here?
2.5 hours on the plane.
2.5 hours? That's not too bad.
Yeah.
So, I was surprised to see you in Chehalis dominating like that. Did you know that you would win the overalls when you went down there?
I knew I'd do well in my class, but the overalls I wasn't so sure about. So,
Do you know who Alan Fisher is before that?
yeah.
I mean, did you think you could beat Alan Fisher?
Yeah, I thought I was capable, yeah.
That was an impressive run.
Thanks.
So, how do you think you'll do tomorrow?
I think I'll win.
You think you'll win?
80 kilos.
80 kilos.
Yeah.
Who are you looking forward to pull?
Mike Barrett and Crazy George.
So you have to pull Crazy George?
And George doesn't lose, so.
Have you ever pulled George?
Once.
Once? And how'd you do?
I guess the referees had control of the match in a way, so they fouled me out, and
Really?
it wasn't fair in my opinion, but it's done.
Yeah. He's gonna try to tire you out.
I know.
He's gonna let you hit like 20 times.
I know.
Hit.
Well, I'll go for the quick pin or foul him out, or if I get him in the finals, I'll stay all day with him, 20 minutes.
How did you start arm wrestling?
My brother and me, we met a guy named Bernie LeMay through work, and he's been Canadian champion, world champion, and he basically started training us from day one. And
So how often do you train for the sport?
every Sunday we pull once a week, and then I do weights in between.
What's your goal? What do you want to accomplish in arm wrestling?
Win a nationals this year, win a worlds, everything, all the big tournaments I want to win.
Do you think you'll be going to South Africa?
If I qualify, yeah, and I'm here to qualify, so
All right, excellent. And you're from which part of Canada?
BC, West Coast.
Is that north? Is that near the border?
Just under an hour drive to the border, so pretty close.
So how many tournaments have you been to in the U.S. before?
3.
3? Which ones?
Washington State, Chehalis, and JR Finicki's was a small tournament.
In Washington?
All in Washington.
All in Washington. So it doesn't take you too long to drive down there? Washington?
Seattle's 3 hours, which includes the border. So
Where are there more tournaments, in Washington or in BC?
pretty similar, like same amount per year.
Hey, thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Have you
you.
been to ARMTV?
Have I been to ARMTV? Many times.
All right, cool.
But I had revenge that day. The first day didn't work out so well, so next day I thought, feeling 100%. So I went my class, went the next class, went the 220s, won those, and then took the overall. So it was.
Hey, Vern, how do you guys feel about the American team? Do you guys feel like those are kind of your brothers, or is it your competition?
No,
Do you guys unite a little bit?
we unite every time I go down there. I mean, I feel like I'm one of them. You know, there's no, I don't think real rivalry. You go down there, they like pulling with you, and gives them a chance to. They're used to pulling their guys like we're used to pulling Canadians. So you go down there, you got a different arm, different type of hand or wrist to work with. They like that. Not only that, it gives them a chance for a feel that, you know, if you are going to the Worlds, they still have to compete against us in Canada, same as we have to pull against Team USA. So it's good to be able to work out together, and not only that, usually when you go to another country, you know, we get along as a team as a whole when we're actually up against the rest of the world. So I think we kind of hand in hand. And
Is there a difference in style and technique between the two countries, or is arm wrestling technique the same around the world?
you know, I think it's the same. Everybody knows the same technique, but with the States, I've noticed they're really getting back into a lot of the hooking, where I still see a lot of the top rolling happening here in Canada. They're a little bit, I think, ahead with these offset pads, because I notice they do a lot of working, sliding their elbows back and forth, utilizing the pads. And that's what I found in this last few tournaments going down there. It's really been helpful and learning to me to be able to work that pad a little bit more, especially in your hook positions, where you're used to being right over on that edge of the pad. And you know, now I've seen how much they work shoving their elbow back to the pad to drag a guy down. So it's yeah, this year, I mean, you think you know it all, and then you go in, you're always learning something new. They're always coming up with more ways or more moves that you can utilize at the table, and it's great. I mean, I look forward to going down to tournaments down there, and I think they hold more tournaments down there than what we do here in Canada. For us to travel from one side of Canada to the other side, it's more expensive to do that than it is to fly down to the States. And so we don't get to see each other as much as maybe at the Canadians. It's good we finally get to see everybody who's doing things across Canada. But as far as the States, it's good, and it's easier to get down. Us guys on the west side get to go down to the west side. Guys like Ryan, that they get to control the eastern side. And so we kind of communicate internet, really, to see who's doing what, and then come to the Canadians, we can finally see, okay, now that we can see how they did on the east side, they can see how we did on the west side. Now let's see what we've learned and go against each other, and it's great. This is what it's all about. Coming to tournaments and learning. You don't get this from practice. You gotta go against guys who are best in different areas of the continent. So this is where
Do you know, I mean, seeing as most of the tournaments I've been at have only been in the U.S., do you know what kind of reputation you have down in the U.S.? I mean, how you're looked up? People think of you kind of like as an icon a little bit. I mean, everyone respects Vern Martel. I've never heard, a negative word ever said about you. I mean, what's it like knowing that people from a completely different country put you in that kind of category?
But that feeling's equally shared. As far as down the States, the guys have treated me really good, that I can give that same type of treatment back to them. I find when I go to a tournament, I want to go there, set up fair, you know, I don't want to cheat anybody in a grip or anything, so I've always, you know, given my hand. Everybody that I've ever arm wrestled has never ever felt cheated as far as the grip and everything else. I mean, I think you're at the one event in Santa Clarita where, you know, I had to make a decision against the referee's calls, which I normally don't like doing, but at the same time I had Devin's hand. I felt what happened. I knew he wasn't ready. And, you know, I said, no, let's redo the match. When you do something like that, especially when the cash is on the line, they know you want to be fair. And I mean, they like that as much. And not only that, I can walk away from the table and say, I beat him honestly. I didn't cheat him in anything else, or, you know, and, you know, if something like that ever happens to me where I'm not ready and bang, I get pinned, I hope I get that same opportunity from a competitor as well. And,
So that's why you respect it so much, because you grip fair?
I think so.
There's more than that.
I think so. Hey, and, you know, I got to deal with this disability or handicap. I think people appreciate that I'm still in the sport. You know, I can still go up there and do well against some top guys, and that's all I wanted, was to come back to the sport after losing the use of my left arm, come back and still be a competitive competitor at the table and still do something that I love. And you know, I've been very fortunate that I've been able to go up against the best, and I still hold my own. And if you know, I can throw a little bit of maybe fear that when I approach the table, they know who I am and know what I'm capable of, then I've done my job. And not only that, equally, I mean, I respect the other competitors, and I mean, I see what they do, and that's what's so great about the internet. You can see what everybody's doing around the world. You know who the guys you got to watch out for, but you can equally see what they're doing at the table through, you know, video, through the internet. Gives you a chance to work on something, and maybe you go to the table when you finally do get to meet, try your best, and, you know, if your best didn't work, at least, you know, you can go back, work on something else, but at the same time, you know, you have a lot of fun doing it.
So the guy in Tahoe from Japan, he didn't really know you, and, you know, he thought he had the better of you, but
Yeah,
I mean, he was highly mistaken, right?
yeah. But hey, it works out that way. I mean, you can have your best day and nobody touches you, then you can have your worst day and that's it. And they got your number, and I feel I got my revenge back with being able to challenge him afterwards and show him that I could control his hand and everything else. But at the same time, that gives him something to go back and work on, so he can come back and have that same opportunity that I do to try and beat him as much as he's got the opportunity to beat me. And yeah, I've been having a really good year this year and enjoying the ride, but hey, you can get bumped off at any time. And that's the thing about this sport is you have to work at, I mean, you have to work at it to be on top. And at any time, somebody can have your number, but then you get beat. It makes you come back and work on some other things so that you can come back and beat that guy. So it's...
My tape's gonna end, Vern, so I gotta say thank you very much for your time.
Hey, and I love my ARMTV again there, Gary, and appreciate what you're doing.